Yo, yo, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? How's everybody doing? Back with another live stream, little trade review, watch list, etc. Let's dive right in. Start here with some trades I took from today. Obviously, if you watched the watch list from yesterday, I had a couple swing positions on UAVS with the sideways close. Was gapping up here in pre-market. I had like a 140s average. I had bought this opening range break, sold into the highs, rebought dips, bought some into this sideways action, and then swung the full position overnight. Started to peel some off into the pre-market pop, up into some looking left resistance. Then once market open, we got a quick fail, so I took off some more, sold maybe about a third, and then took the rest off at my average for break even. Didn't amount to much. NVTS, on the other hand, played out really well. We got that weak close. Typically, the weaker they close, the better they gap. You get shorts coming in there looking for the failed breakout. You get longs peeling off their position, thinking that the breakout failed. And then when you get the gap, it's not as crowded on the sell side. Logically makes sense where the shareholder base stands. All in all, the big picture setup, the trend was still intact. Even though it did pull back into close, it was still over that 690s. That was the key level I wanted to see break and build. 697 whole dollar, or whatever you want to call it. So I had shown my position here. I can't remember. I bought some here, bought some here, bought some here, bought some here. I don't think I had any sells on it yesterday. And then pre-market, same kind of thing as UAVS. We started getting some gap here in pre. Sold, started extending rather quickly, so started selling some more. Sold about a quarter before market open. And then we got the week open. I wanted to see how it would react to the breakout level. We got a pullback, higher low, break of VWAP. I joined, sold half into the immediate pop through 8. Took the rest off under those ads. Was still well green on this. I think my average was around $7. But I just locked it in because this high a day break should have continued higher, and it didn't. So I moved on. We got those couple wicks that held the breakout level, so I put that position back on with a bigger picture idea. And then once I got these ads, it broke and was It broke out and was consolidating over the highs a day. So I added some before I left and got off desk. Set a stop at low a day. Unfortunately, didn't get any locks into here. That would have been really nice to be able to rebuy dips after locking in something like that. But is what it is. So currently still swinging a full position after those ads. Locked in a really nice trade here with those sells this morning. If this doesn't gap and go tomorrow, like if this is red, I likely start to sell. I'm not going to look to give back the whole gain. So I need to see it gap and go and see how much higher it goes. NVIDIA still pushing higher, so that bodes well for that idea, but we will see. And then the last trade for me from today was no KNW. Same setup as, gosh, what was that ticker yesterday? Let me look. Had the same setup. What stock was it? Was it EYEN? Was it? Yeah, it was EYN. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. or maybe not. But we get that big multi-day run. Gaps down a lot bigger than I would have liked. This one did get a push green. KNW is fairly toxically dilutive, I believe. Or was that K? All these K names. KLTO was the dilutive one. KNW had the Bitcoin news, Treasury news. So they're just hopping on the back of the whole sector trade of all these Bitcoin Treasury PRs. It's overdone. Plan from yesterday was once it was failing under 280s, so I was looking for that fade back down sub 2. The gap down was a lot bigger than I would have wanted. Once we got the 1 minute shove off the open and fail, I shorted. It went straight down, so I covered. Stayed heavy and couldn't bounce, so I rescaled with risk on highs still. And then once we got the break of the prior 2 minute bar right there, I moved on and ended up being a really good cover. So it was a nail bail trade, nothing really sizable. Risk reward wasn't the greatest, but those were my trades from today. LVWR continues to go. Such a frustrating one because it had such good structure over here. It just wasn't the easiest thing to swing. EYEN, as I was scanning this evening, I threw some trend lines on here. It's either going to break below 390's 4 and start to fizzle out, or if this starts to break and build over this lower high trend line, could start putting in another leg, be like a third leg at this point. But we will see. BMEA, Wix, not going away. So continue to keep that one on radar. KLTO, same kind of setup as KNW, where you get a bunch of bags, closes below its open, and everybody's underwater from today. So ideally, get like a 220 to 250 shove, and then look for some failed follow through. I think it's got room back to like a buck if it really wants to unwind. But as long as it's red, I like a lean for lower. If it holds up over these 170s, I don't really love the fade idea, but once it's red, pops start to fail, would look for something like this, where it's red, pops fail, and just look for the resolution little pullback trade. UAVS, I don't really... The thing is like in a typical market environment, now that UAVS breakout has failed, I would take it off radar. But LVWR, I played this breakout, it failed, and then 2 days later on no volume, broke out. And then you had the same thing with EYEN. Let me take off right here. So you get this volume coming in, breaks out, fails, consolidates for 2 days, and then re-breaks out. So yes, UAVS did fail its breakout, but now we've got a double top in those 160s, so maybe this starts to hold and build 140s and then get a re-break those 160s. So I just can't take it off radar right now, just given the current market environment and these breakouts and how they've been playing out. So kind of adapting a little bit there. KLTO we went over. MRIN, this one hit my breakout scan here through the 160s. I don't believe there's any overhead resistance. Yeah, it's all really far away. Kept topping out every time it tried to break. The way in which it got there is not sustainable. That's like a pretty prime short op into a parabolic through a breakout level, like a short to resistance. And then it started to consolidate and grind back. So if this can like push 170s and start to act as a base, I could see myself joining that trend. But I need to see like 160s, 170s firm up and be a base, start to act as support. Just given how many times it actually broke that trigger level that I would have expected to send it higher, and it just couldn't. So a 160s, 170s would probably lock some into two, some into this after hours resistance, and see what it does from there. NCNA, someone had mentioned this on a scan a couple days ago, somewhere over here. Not really like it's not a price range that I touch. Did go on a little multi run here, but it's not high enough price to short, and it eats up commissions long. So not super interested in playing this thing. But if it were to continue higher, it's the only reason I have it on watch list. It did come from 4 cents. So if this were to run to like 50 cents, then I'd start to get interested. CARM, percent gainer, after hours, or shove into close and faded after hours. NCNA, faded after hours. Those things got hit. There's a couple gappers today that just kind of went sideways. Let me see. I wrote them down here. EVGN, MEGL, sideways, MEGL, sideways. So they were like, they're big percent gainers. Like they're up 60% there, 80% here, but they didn't really run. But CARM actually did get some momentum, and it did run. So I do think that this fades back off, but in the unlikely event that it builds back and breaks out or wants to run higher, I will keep big percent gainers on watch. And then RFL, this daily here, I think speaks for itself. If you zoom out, it hasn't done any price action like this. You got volume speeding up each day to a point where it's tradable liquidity, and daily bars continue to get bigger and bigger. You got a nice sell-off there, nice top wick on the daily. So we will see if it can start to fail off of prior day's VWAP, something like that. Once it goes red, I think should get a pullback. It is, I would consider this extended enough, going from 140 to 320. Extended enough for a first red day, so I'll keep that one on watch as well. Excuse me. So watches tomorrow: MRIN, RFL, KLTO, NVTS, obviously. I think those are my main few. A couple of breakout watches, a couple short watches, so we will see. Any quick questions to throw in? Otherwise, that's all I've got to talk about, and we can keep it. We're at 13 minutes here, so we can keep it there. In terms of what, Chris? A percentage that a stock has to gap up? You talking about a certain pattern? For breakouts, I prefer them not to be gapping up. Stocks that gap up through their breakout levels, they have like a 30% win rate. But typically I don't like them to gap. I like a flat open. For example, NVTS was a breakout. It was gapping up, but barely. I'm more looking for a trend shift on tradable volume, is what I'm looking for. And something like NVTS, you have this lower high trend break on substantially more volume than it's traded in like a week plus. So this was a trend shift and this was a trend shift that aligned for a breakout to come in. UAVS topped out, topped out, topped out, topped out, and then once it finally breaks through those 140s on above average volume, then it's traded in like 4 days. Then I like that for a breakout. This one did gap up, but it didn't gap up through the breakout level. So breakouts are inherently green on the day, just because they're pushing higher. But yeah, I prefer them if they're not gapping up too much. EYEN. If you look at this breakout, you could look at either one. You had this high set, pulls back, lower high trend line, break on above average volume that is traded in multiple days, breaks out. If you bought this break here in the 190s, which I did, I just didn't sell enough into the 220s, 230s. I was going for a much bigger move. But then it consolidates for 2 days, sets another breakout level at the 230s on above average volume, and breaks out from there. LVWR, 2 days run, 1 day pullback, gaps up and runs through the breakout level, consolidates for 2 days, re-breaks out of that breakout level. So yeah. Short answer, no, I don't have a stock that percentage that a stock needs to gap up. Breakouts are just inherently green on the day because of the pattern they are. I just look for trend shift and above average volume. And then I want no overhead resistance within 100% or within the last year. And to use a risk level, I want it to hold as a consolidation low for minimum 1 hour. You betcha. Stuff and such, no problem. Chris, no problem. Sounds good, guys. I will leave it there. That's my watch list for tomorrow. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see some of you in Investors Underground. The rest of you, I will see you on the next watch list. Take it easy, guys. Trade them well. Peace.